Hi everyone, this is Daisy here, aka Professional High Priestess, and I'm here to put out this message straight from the Goddess Council as well as the Angel of Death. This is also another Angel of Death message that I picked up, and this is regarding Chicago. Let me take off my utility belt, and this is regarding Chicago and Oakland. And how some Oakland and Chicago are going to have some very some deep similarities in the near future. And this is going to be similarities that Chicago and Oakland are going to be going through. What's going to happen? It's going to let the world know that Chicago is under spiritual warfare right now. That's why you've been seeing our people going crazy out there with all the killings and the shootings. And you notice that in Chicago, that it's all centralized in one specific part, South Side, the hood, where all the black and brown people live, right? My guides told me basically that what's going on in Chicago is spiritual warfare gone wrong. A lot of the elders that were born in like the 50s, 60s, and 70s that were a part of like the Black Power movement, working with Fred Hampton, the impacted by the war on drugs and all these the Nixon era. A lot of those women ended up falling short, and they fell into doing negative spell work when they were supposed to be on their journey towards healing. A lot of them got their hands on Louisa Tish. A lot of them got their hands on that book. You guys know that writer. She passed away for colored girls who considered suicide when the rainbow wasn't enough. Those women that grew up in that era, they were in their 20s and 30s. They are now the ones that are training the karmics that us and our generation are dealing with as well. Those women are the ones that are kind of responsible for a lot of what is going on because their conjuring has gone wrong because they were doing spiritual warfare on other people. And the entities and the demons that they conjured, it's like a vortex sitting over Chicago. And Oakland is going to be next. And it was so crazy that because I knew, like, when I saw that, I said that that's not, there's something going on there. There's something not right there. And a lot of people from Chicago, I'm sure you guys know if you're from Chi-Town, you can feel it, your energy, the energy yourself. A thick buzz, you can feel it. Because I've been to Chicago before. You feel the energy, it's charged, it's spell work. Whoever was conjuring or whatever they were conjuring, trying to take people out, death spells or whatever, it impacted the whole entire community. And Oakland is going to be the same thing is about to happen in Oakland because it's going to show these different communities all across the nation. Stop playing with that shit. Because I told you, it's not just in one place that these older people or these broken individuals operate with their spell work and their spiritual warfare. And another thing that confirmed this to me was the other day, I had an elder come to me and she is out there in that area. She's from Chicago, etc. And I told her, I was like, I was literally thinking that thought. And she had come to me for a session, and I was like, I honestly feel like it's people for your generation, those women, etc., that are doing this. Come to find out, she was being attacked by a coven. And I told her, I said, before we even found out, I said, I have a feeling that whatever you're dealing with is going to be interconnected with whoever these people are that have something to do with whatever's going on in Chicago right now. In the Bay Area, the only thing that's different is they're public with their spell work and their rituals. They have the little different groups and factions of different women that play with different spell work, but they're also connected to the arts community and the social justice community because they're all interconnected. See, in the Bay Area, they don't make it let you think that this is the bastion for social justice. It's hella fragmented. Black Lives Matter don't fuck with Blackout Collective, don't fuck with Black Sea. They all fight. Some of the people that are doing that, a lot of these people that are doing this spiritual work, though, this rituals and stuff, they're not from the Bay Area. They're not. They've lived here for maybe 10, 15 years, but they're not from the Bay Area. It first started when they tried to get the tech community out of here because the tech community, they came in droves. They came in droves to the Bay Area and they destabilized the energy. Rent started going up, all kinds of karmic energy. Even when you would go to the club and it would be bumping hella people, the energy was dead. And it was because of the energy of gentrification and the karmics that came. Because this is an epicenter for the tower. The tower is right across the street from, you can see it from my balcony. The tower is Salesforce Tower. That's going to be San Francisco's tower. Salesforce Tower is sinking. So that's going to be San Francisco's tower. They're not going to get Chicago. They're going to get that tower. Okay. The other tower that they're going to get is a whole bunch of money and shit like that being lost because the tech community is leaving. Now they try to get the tech community out of here. So Uber was going to move into the old Sears building downtown Oakland, and all the old black witches got together and they did a ritual. That didn't work. I mean, it did because Uber didn't come, but Square bought the building, and then a different company bought the building. So all that's there right now is a Shake Shack, but they're going to open a whole bunch of other things over there. So they were successful in that, but they destabilized the energy. This same group of karmics is the same group of karmics that was doing that death ritual on me that backfired and killed two people. This same group of karmics is the same group of karmics that are always doing voodoo rituals and stuff like that in public. They call it under the guise of art and performance. It's rituals. And a lot of them have very low vibing ancestors. So all they're doing is activating their low vibing ancestors. Really, the rituals are being used to harness and harvest energy because that same group of witches that are doing that, they're the ones that are getting all the money and things like this. But those are the same karmics playing with Satanism and black magic. And those were the same group of karmics that literally what they did was they put spell work on my karmic and his job and all their leadership to extort thousands of dollars for them to play for death rituals and shit like that to hide the stuff that they were doing. And they've been all doing public rituals. They do sunrise ceremony and Ma'afa ceremony. Ma'afa is basically the commemoration for when African people were enslaved. So October is like Ma'afa month. They all do these public rituals and all this stuff like that. It's all the low vibing karmics that are doing it though. And the thing about Chicago and Oakland, it's both Indian land. Yeah. What do you think Chicago used to be? Lake Michigan and all that. That's all native Indian land. That's another thing too. All those spirits are in the land. All that energy is in the land. San Francisco, Oakland, this area, this is Ohlone land, but San Francisco used to be called Yalamu. This whole place has native Indian natives buried in the land. Chicago too. And the similarities too, they both are there by big ass bodies of water. The water spirits, you know, in when they talk about spiritual husbands in the Christian religion, some of these spiritual warfare pastors in Africa, they always talk about the lady by the sea. The lady by the sea, and you guys know in some of these stories, I talk about the lady by the sea. It'll be like a siren, not the good ones, but the bad ones that would lure people into the sea, that would lure people into karmic energies to their downfall. That energy is right here too, because it's karmics conjuring it with their low vibing energies. And a lot of these karmics that are doing the spiritual work, all of them have been in part of sexual degradation, all kinds of low vibing stuff. And these are the same karmics that are also doing spiritual warfare all over the place, opening hella portals that they have no idea how to create a spiritual debt to balance out. That's why a lot of the karmics that I have seen over the years, I didn't even know that they were playing with spell work. Their houses are burning down, their grandchildren are passing away, they're losing houses, freak accidents, getting sick, different cancers here and there. Yeah. And you want to know something else that was also confirming this to me? My guides have been telling me to get out of California. So me moving has nothing to do with my case or nothing like that. I was already moving. My guides already were telling me like you need to move, but this thing was really like you're getting out of California because there's karmic energies for divine people here too. This is going to be the tower epicenter. That's why even like it's kind of good that all the techies and people like that congregated in that place. Let them fall right there. But my guides told me San Francisco, Oakland is going to be looking a lot like Chicago because of a lot of the spiritual warfare that's going on. And people are going to know exactly why it's happening. It's the spiritual warfare. And it was funny because even before all this craziness started, I told my karmic, I said, you better get ready because it's going to be like the 80s. And a lot of people are not going to be able to be equipped to handle what's going to come down that pipeline. I told my karmic that. Then lo and behold, look what popped off. Lo and behold, look what surfaced. My guides are, and when I had said, I had posted on my Facebook one day that I was going to be leaving California, not because anybody ran me the fuck out. That's just the Leo in me, but because it's going to be real spiritual warfare here. 2 hours later, we had a 4.0 earthquake. The other day, when my guys were telling me again, this Chicago Oakland similarity, get out of California, it's going to be a tower moment right here. You guys remember we had the 3 days where the sun didn't shine? You guys remember that? On top of that, my guys were telling me get out of California. Then I had that session with one of the elders, which was confirming to me what my intuition was telling me that Chicago was under spiritual warfare because a lot of these karmics, and it's funny because some of these YouTube karmics like Nubian and them, they're in Chicago too, playing with spell work and shit like that as well. 2 hours later, we had a 6.0 earthquake 200 miles away from where I live. That's when my guards were like, we're telling, this is why you need to get the fuck up out of here because the tower is about to hit. The car race. Remember, they're talking about every time they're talking about California's in a drought. California's in a drought now. And I noticed that there's always something kind of happening societal factor wise when they're talking about California's going through a drought. Now, California going through a drought, you guys can have your speculations about that, but I do feel like there's something too with the entertainment industry being in California as well. That's a whole set of spell work as well. Hollywood, aka Holywood, your wands are made out of holy wood, right? Magical wood. And the fact that the gate of Ishtar is also in Hollywood and it's on the same longitudinal line as the other gate of Ishtar in ancient Babylon, which is aka Iraq. And what do they call Chicago? Chirac. Okay. Now, another, and it's 333 on the clock as I just said that. Another thing too, oh, not San Francisco, oh, no, New York City. Oh, that's, trust me. But New York is going to be one of the last places to get sieged because the United Nations is really in New York. But that's a whole other story. So with this craziness, A Tale of Two Cities, and it was so crazy because I was thinking about this and I said that it's going to be some really powerful similarities in a minute. My guides put that song in my head, A Tale of Two Cities by J. Cole. Yeah. And this is what's going to be teaching people, not because the people in the media, they're not going to get it. But our little community, the spiritual communities all across the nation, they're going to understand why it's happening. And they're going to know it's because of conjure. And this is what has to happen because these karmics have to get reprimanded. This is Saturn and Aquarius type of energy. And I'm going to tell you right now, those karmics that are playing in Chicago, what's going to end up happening, all those karmics that have been amplifying that energy, they're all going to get put on Front Street. All the older ones, all of that. I'm telling you right now, it's going to start happening. Did you guys see in the news the other day that they found out this, she was from like what's this thing called? She was like 80 years old, and they were a part of this cult, and they had sacrificed like two kids, and she went on the run. Years later, they found her. So anything is possible right now. So my guys just were talking very, and matter of fact, that's what. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. They were like, we're going to confirm. Chicago's going to be, Oakland is going to be looking a lot like Chicago very soon. All those ceremonies and all those public rituals and shit like that, if you guys were smart, you'd get out of that. You got practitioner right here. Exactly. Dear bright and well-loving ancestors, what messages do you have regarding Chicago and Oakland? Yeah. What messages do you have regarding Chicago and Oakland? You got pineal gland, third eye. Yep. And you got water therapy. Didn't I tell you about the lady by the sea? Didn't I tell you about the lady by the sea? And you got crown chakra. There's also water spirits. There's water witches, water spirits like Ursula, not Ariel, Ursula. I remember they're conjuring water, mami wata, the low vibing aspect through that shit that they're doing in these areas. Didn't I tell you? Didn't I mention though that the body of water is this distinctive factor of why this is happening too? They're conjuring shit out of the water. And that's another reason my guides told me that Flint went crazy with the water like that, because there's something buried there's something buried by a water pipe. There's something buried by a central water location. That's another reason why they need to excavate. They're going to be digging up stuff with these pipes and shit is going to come out the woodworks. There's going to be a whole lot of stuff going on spiritually. You're going to start to see it. Dear bright and well-loving ancestors, it's going to be like Fringe, that TV show. Shit coming out the woodworks. What messages do you have? What messages do you have, please? Regarding Chicago and Oakland, A Tale of Two Cities. Chicago and Oakland, A Tale of Two Cities. What do you got here? You got fire magic. You got fire magic, and you got mental health, because the magic is unsettling people, and it's war magic. And you want to know another thing that I was saying that I know for a fact that it's magic happening in Chicago? Because I was under war sorcery for the past 4 years, very heavily the last year. I know exactly what war sorcery looks like and feels like. I can see it because I've seen it before. I see exactly what conflict spells, war sorcery looks like. Chicago is under heavy war magic. Heavy war magic. It could also be that maybe one of these mothers or these girlfriends or whatever was doing spiritual work for the opposition, the gangs, gangster disciples, GDs and shit like that. Because there's a reason why I had a dream 5 years ago. Like 5 years ago, I was like in Chicago. I don't know what the fuck I was doing. I knew I was in Chicago, and I was standing in a driveway with like two young men. And I was like, oh, I thought that they were like my brothers, because I was like, oh, we're gonna go in the house. And then somebody pulled up on us wearing red. A boy walked up to us as we were in the driveway, and he was pointing a gun, and like something told me to start ducking. And I just don't understand why I had that dream. But I do remember too that one of my subbies works in the social service system over in that area, and they were trying to send her. They tried to set her up, and they tried to send her to a gangster disciple, one of his sons, to be his social worker. And when she said no, they fired her. When she said no, they fired her. That's how I swear, man, the universe be speaking in crazy ass ways. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Fire magic. What does fire magic have to do with this? Fire magic is also gunfire. Fire magic is also gunfire. Just know that. Yeah. Hands in the air now. Hands in the air. Okay. Better be careful. And this one that they're having hella scandals with the police in Oakland. And this, I don't know if you guys remember this, but all these motherfuckers was getting remember in Richmond 2006, the summer of '06, where remember the train tracks go right through Richmond, California, and all of a sudden all these hood ass people from the Iron Triangle started getting bazookas and M16s, because the train tracks, the military trucks would come through the train tracks, and they were offloading weapons. They call it the bloodiest summer in Richmond. Remember, Richmond used to be one of the top dangerous cities in the nation. It beat Chicago and Detroit. You got sound right here. Yeah. You got candle magic now. Before you got fire magic. Yeah. Rituals are being ran here. Karma is here. And it's also the music. The music that they're making out there too. It's the magic on top of the music. Because Chicago's known for Chicago, Detroit, that area. King Von. They known for murder music. T Grizzly is one of my favorite rappers. That Detroit, that whole area of Chicago, they all fuck with each other. Yeah. It's the music too. Clarified pineal gland, third eye, y'all, they all under magic. Under magic. And I feel like also too, with the police and shit like that, they've been trifling and stuff like that. But I'm gonna tell you right now, some of those politicians, Rahm Emanuel, all of them, they play with spell work. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I know at least 3 people in the Bay Area, just in politics, but like executive at Kaiser and other corporations, and they fled from Chicago here. Okay. Clarified pineal gland, third eye. You got the Ten of Swords. Exactly. It's spell work. It's a curse. You know the Ten of Swords is curses. Someone put a curse. Someone was playing with hexes and war sorcery. Look at all the eyes. Look at someone opened too many portals. Look at all the eyes. Yeah. You know the eyes also too. You know in the Handmaid's Tale they call the eyes the soldiers that went wayward. The Secret Service that investigates here. That's what I'm telling you. That there's a double hand here, and that's especially with that Kanika Jenkins. That has something to do with all of this. The spell work, what's happening with the politicians and the police and all the corruption in Chicago. There's a double hand paying here for the police and paying for the murders in the community. Something's gonna get exposed in Chicago, just as it's happening here in Oakland. What's the water therapy? Because you guys remember in Oakland, that Celeste Guap, when the police was paying that one girl, her mom worked for the police, and she was fucking on all the police from Oakland, San Francisco, Castro Valley, Richmond. Hella police officers was paying this underage girl to pop her pussy, and none of them went to jail. Okay. Yeah, that's Celeste Guap is gonna start it, but this something else is gonna come and end it. Clarify water, and you want to know another thing my guides are gonna say. This is gonna be a telltale sign that this shit is about to blow up. You're gonna start to see all the DAs open old cases to try to appease people because shit is about to come out the woodwork. Clarify water therapy. Yeah, people playing real games over here. What is this? You got the Eight of Pentacles in the reverse with the water therapy energy right here, Virgo energy. But with this this energy, this is also too the lack of intellect, the disenfranchisement of a whole entire generation. Because Eight of Pentacles is work. It's your work ethic. It's your ability to put in work and things like that. Atlanta, don't even get me involved in Atlanta. Atlanta itself is a whole other shit. But Atlanta predates, the problem with Atlanta goes way before the Civil War. That's the problem. That's the problem. What's the crown chakra? And there's something in the water. I feel like Atlanta, real talk, is a social experiment, the manifestation. Because you guys remember, I talked about this in that Ma'apa 21 documentary where they were talking about how the creation of the public school system. Wow. You want to know something else? One of my other subbies, Siamese Goddess, she's from Chicago. And she got a reading from me, and I mentioned this in her reading, and it's so crazy how we're talking about Chicago, and she from there, and I'm about to bring this up, synchronicity again. The psychological system and the education system, the mental health system, IEP, all of that for the kids, special education, the STAR testing, the IQ test, all of that came from the Eugenics Society. The Eugenics Society was a racist, genocidal society. They said that if you are not a white person, then you're genetically inferior. And the guy that started that was related to Charles Darwin. Okay. One of Sigmund Freud, the father of Western psychology, one of his cousins was involved in that, and he was the father of propaganda. He was also involved in that bullshit ass society. Go look them all up. Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, was also a founding member. Okay. So their thing was black and brown people need to be sterilized because our skulls are too small to carry brains big enough to learn. So they would go to the hood, to the projects, and start testing people. They would take education away from them. It was segregated. Black and whites couldn't go to school together. So they had a fucked up education. So people didn't even go to school. They didn't have education. So now we're going to give you this big ass test. And if you fail, well, that's you. So of course people were not passing the test. And then the way that they would create the test was not for the mind of people that have been through trauma and come from a different way of even thinking and speaking and all that type of stuff. It wasn't made for people like us because we come from a whole different type of like way of being and thinking and culture. You see it, right? They would go and pour birth control and sterilization agents in our water supply after they would go and do these tests in the neighborhoods because they said that these people cannot have any kids. They can't have children. We can't let them reproduce. So that's where all those tests came from. So that's another thing that I'm picking up on here too. Some of that bullshit is going to be coming up as well. That's how it started. That's something in the water supply as well too, and that's a lot of point. That's what I tell you, social experiment. Atlanta. That I feel like that's the manifestation in Atlanta right now. Why all these men go to Atlanta to be gay, and then they think that they leave Atlanta, and now they're all of a sudden they're straight. It's like that's the whole notion. People know you go to Atlanta to go nut if you buck and play and dookie dig, and then you leave. Well, anyways, so I just wanted to give you some example of what they did. They Florida, the South, all of that. Georgia was one of the hot spots for that. Georgia specifically. So I feel like that's why that bullshit is going on, but I'm gonna talk about that too. Let's keep on going. So they would even go to the schools after they would test the kids and come to the nurse's office for a shot and be sterilizing kids. By the time you get home, mom, they gave me a sterilization shot. What's that? Your mom don't even know. You can't even have kids now. Yeah, it's a whole documentary about that shit. It's called Ma'apa 21. Clarify, Crown. Chickens are coming home to roost for the United States government too. Clarify, Crown, because their experiments have gone wrong. Creating ghettos, which is Hitler's experiment. Didn't I tell you that this Hitler principality? You see it here. What's this crown chakra energy for Chicago and Oakland, a tale of two cities? You got the Ace of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups. And this is also too, didn't I just talk about pregnancies? The Ace of Pentacles is gestation. They're attacking pregnant women there too. They're making sure that whatever this is, it's going into future generations now. And it's from the women because the Queen of Cups is the mother, isn't she? Exactly. Yeah, they're attacking spiritually to impact future generations through the mother, through the reproduction. And I just talked about that sterilization. Okay. Clarify sound. Clarify sound. You got the Nine of Pentacles. I told you about this this music, Eight of Wands, right? This trapping and this music. This is also too health. Something also too about sex workers. Oh shit. Yeah. Chicago, because of the waterways. These cities too are gateway cities for human trafficking, port cities. These Chicago, there's going to be a big ass scandal with one of their politicians being actively engaged and involved with the port cities smuggling. This is in San Francisco too. Something's going to happen with the border supervisors or the former mayors. Something's going to come up with human trafficking and port cities or smuggling and embezzling humans or some shit like that. Something's going to blow the fuck up. Yeah, it's about to go down. What's the similarities? They're both port cities. They're both big major cities. They're both metropolitan cities. They both have major mobs histories, major, major, and organized crime. They're both cities of industry where people fled to go to because hella black people fled from the south to go to Chicago. Hella black people fled from the south to go to California. What's the mental health here? You got the Nine of Wands. I told you. I'm telling you right now, Ten of Cups, the gang violence in Chicago. That's what the whole entire point is. It was karmics that were doing this, covens. Because the Ten of Cups is a coven of karmics. Because Ten of Cups is Mars and Pisces. That's a coven of people paying with spell work. Mars and Pisces is the use of is the fighting conflict with magic, mysticism, 12th house energy. And you got the mental health right here. Yeah. Come on. That's what I'm saying. It's spell work that's doing all that. Then you got the Nine of Wands over and over and over again. But you got God here, the impenetrable secret. Wow. Universal medicine. That's what I'm telling you. We're gonna have to go into, and it says divine warrior here. We're gonna have to go into Chicago and all these different places and blitz that shit, man. And it's gonna be a war. It will be. I'm telling you, it's gonna have to be a war in these places. And it's already happening in the spiritual world. Places are already occupied in the astral plane. When you guys go there, you guys already see it. There's places that are occupied and under surveillance. They're already doing it spiritually. That's why they're doing 5G. Why do you think they're doing 5G and the coronavirus? It's not because there's actually a real fucking virus where they want you to have faster internet. It's because it's going to break down your DNA. It's going to break down your spirituality. Then you can't fight in the spiritual plane. Why do you think they're killing all the holistic doctors with car accidents? How is 25 people die in a car accident in a year? That's magic. Clarify candle magic and fire magic. People think that people's dumb. We ain't dumb out here. You got judgment. Yeah. With the fire magic and the shooting, because with the King of Pentacles, I told you that there's a hidden hand here paying for opposition on both sides in Chicago and in the Bay Area. My karmics are going to get caught up for this bullshit in Oakland and they're going to get exposed. But in Chicago, that shit is going to be a little bit more that comes out. It's going to be more. And I'm going to keep it hella real. And I was not going to say nothing about this, but if you guys pay attention, why are all these little girls disappearing and their fathers are hella prominent? Like that one girl that disappeared in Buffalo, Sanaya, her daddy and Dipset. How the fuck is your daddy and Dipset? Dipset run all the way from Boston, Cambridge, all the way down to Miami. How the fuck is you disappearing in thin air and your daddy Dipset? Okay. Then you saw the other girl. Her name was Sanaa. Her dad runs a whole Black Panther community policing ring. How the fuck did you get? How? Then you remember brother Polite like a year ago? His daughter Ma'at Justice. How did Ma'at go disappearing in thin air and your daddy's brother Polite? Be careful. There's something bigger. Remember I talked about in the Malcolm X channeling, Farrakhan and them, and it just came up recently again? Be careful, because there's a whole bunch of shit that's about to come out here. A whole bunch of shit with spell work, community violence, double hands with politicians and shit like that. You're going to see a whole bunch of shit go down. You're going to see a whole bunch of stuff go down. Double hands, the hand that's been feeding and funking, creating the beef. Because if there's no beef in the community, no one needs weapons. It's just same shit with Halliburton and Dick Cheney. But you're gonna see it in the hood. Remember, there's a documentary, and it was by Claude Anderson and Dr. Umar Johnson, and it was talking about how having Black people in position of leadership elected doesn't help because DC or Maryland had the most poverty and murder rates under Black mayors. But what's gonna happen is all these different old elected officials that then passed away, and like think about this, Rayful Edmond in Washington DC, and the fact that during that time that all the shit was going on, they had a Black mayor. So how the fuck was he going to Georgetown, buying out all these Italian Armani suits and running whole trafficking rings and shit like that? You ain't smart. Something ain't right. And I'm telling you right now, the double hand that's been paying for beef in the hood and been supporting the politicians with their inter trafficking rings and stuff like that, it's gonna blow up. You're gonna hear something about foreign affairs, China, Russia. Watch, you're gonna see it, and it's gonna be these politicians. Kwame Kilpatrick. I'm telling you, there was a whole lot more in that, and Flint, Michigan is gonna bring up the rest. That water, a whole lot more. So that's what I got here for you guys. A tale of two towers. You guys better be careful. If you guys live in these cities, start telling your friends, stop going to those rituals, stop going to play with those karmics with their meditation groups and their spiritual shit like that. They're harvesting energy, they're spreading entities, and they're trying to build covens to do more fuckery. Don't join that shit. Let those holes perish because the tower's about to hit. A tale of two towers. We got this.